Tonight, Obama under fire after his critique of India. And Muslims around the globe get ready for Eid al-Adha, also known as the Feast of Sacrifice. We cover stories about Iran's criticism over Denmark's policing, Ontario's school board response to Islamophobia, and a Hijabi convert navigating the streets of France. Assalamu alaikum and good evening. This is Muslim News Canada on Muslim Network TV. I am Catherine Bullock. Former US President is receiving backlash from members of the Indian government. The news comes after Barack Obama last week expressed concerns about India's unity and the protection of minority rights during an interview. When a CNN interviewer asked him how the US should engage with illiberal Democrats like Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, Obama mentioned the importance of challenging troubling trends. Obama highlighted the need to protect the rights of minorities in India, including the Muslim minority, to prevent potential division within the country. He emphasized that the US and Indian leaders should discuss these matters, whether in private or publicly. Obama's recent comments have sparked controversy in India. The Indian finance minister has expressed shock at Obama's remarks. On the other hand, the Indian defense minister has defended India's secular character and criticized those who comment on minority rights without considering their own country's actions. On top of this, a few days earlier, the chief minister of Assam tweeted, "There are many Hussein Obamas in India itself that need to be taken care of." Barack Obama's middle name is Hussein. Indian opposition leaders say the Assam minister's tweet is a veiled threat to Indian Muslims. Obama and the US have not publicly responded to these remarks. The Qatari emir and Iranian president are extending their support to Russian President Vladimir Putin on the aborted armed rebellion of the Wagner paramilitary group. In separate phone talks with the two leaders, Putin discussed the current security situation in Moscow. Later, the Kremlin published a statement on its website saying Qatari Emir Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani has confirmed mutual interest in strengthening bilateral cooperation. The statement says Raisi has reaffirmed Iran's support for the national sovereignty of Russia following Wagner's rebellion. Putin congratulated Al Thani on the 10th anniversary of his accession to the throne. Putin also wished the Qatari emir and the Iranian president on the upcoming Muslim holiday of Eid al-Adha. The news comes after the paramilitary Wagner group accused Russian forces of attacking its fighters and crossed from Ukraine into the Russian city of Rostov-on-Don to retaliate. The Federal Security Service in Russia qualified Wagner's actions as an armed rebellion and opened a criminal case against it. The Russian President Vladimir Putin called Wagner's uprising an act of treason. Wagner head Yevgeny Prigozhin and his fighters decided to avoid bloodshed yesterday when they were 200 kilometers from Moscow. Belarusian President Alexander Lukashenko says he contributed to the settlement by holding talks with the Wagner head, which led Prigozhin's decision to accept a de-escalation deal. Muslims in Canada and across the world are getting ready for Eid al-Adha, or the Feast of Sacrifice. Eid al-Adha is one of Islam's most significant festivals. It is the second major festival for Muslims after Eid al-Fitr, which is celebrated at the end of Ramadan, the holy month of fasting. Eid al-Adha takes place between the 10th and 13th day of the Islamic month of Dhul Hijjah. The festival is celebrated on the third day of Hajj. Hajj is the sacred pilgrimage that is the fifth and final pillar of Islam. Dhul Hijjah, the 12th and last month of the Muslim lunar calendar, is itself considered one of the holiest in the Islamic year, and Muslims often fast on its first 9 days. Eid al-Adha celebrations begin in most countries this year on Wednesday, and a day later in some places such as Pakistan and India. On Eid al-Adha, people who can afford it buy livestock, and its meat is distributed among the needy, neighbors, and relatives. Israeli media is reporting the US administration has halted scientific and technological cooperation with Israel outside the Green Line. The Green Line is a boundary between Israel and the territories occupied by Tel Aviv during the Middle East War in 1967. The US decision comes a week after the Israeli government authorized the construction of over 4,500 new homes in the occupied West Bank. The recent decision means a return to the policy of former President Barack Obama. Obama's policy stipulated that there should be no cooperation in geographical areas located beyond the Green Line borders. Later, in 2019, former President Donald Trump signed 2 documents recognizing Israel's sovereignty over Jerusalem and the Syrian Golan Heights. Israel annexed the eastern part of Jerusalem and the Golan Heights in 1981. The international community does not recognize Tel Aviv's annexation. Many European Union countries have banned imports produced in Israeli settlements built on the occupied territories. The UN considers Israeli settlement building activity as illegal and an obstacle to the internationally agreed two-state solution. Estimates indicate that about 700,000 Israeli settlers are living in 164 settlements and 116 outposts in the occupied West Bank. For more on the Ontario School Board and its Islamophobia strategy, stay tuned. Danish prosecutors have pressed charges against an Iranian man who reportedly attempted to attack the Iranian ambassador at its embassy in Copenhagen. The charges were announced this past Friday. Last year, in October, the suspect allegedly approached Ambassador Afsaneh Nadipour while brandishing a knife with the intent to stab her. The assailant was apprehended by staff on embassy grounds. Tehran has accused the man of specifically targeting Ambassador Nadipour. Tehran criticises the Danish police for their perceived slow response to the incident. Prosecutors say the suspect was placed in custody, spending a significant portion in his detention in a psychiatric ward. The date for the trial is not yet known. An Ontario father is raising concerns about a school board's anti-Islamophobia strategy after his son, the only Muslim in his class, was targeted by a teacher who showed racist cartoons. The incident occurred during a lesson on censorship, where a Peel Board schoolteacher displayed caricatures from the controversial magazine Charlie Hebdo. The French cartoon magazine is notoriously famous for depicting stereotypes of Muslim, Jewish, and Black communities. The teacher did not address the offensive nature of the cartoons and instead focused on the Charlie Hebdo massacre in 2015. In that year, people linked to the al-Qaeda group murdered 12 staff members of Charlie Hebdo in retaliation for anti-Muslim cartoons being published. In the Peel classroom incident, the teacher singled out the Muslim student, asking if he found the images offensive and questioned his views on the massacre. The student's father is expressing sadness and helplessness over the incident, stating that it had a significant negative mental impact on his son. The teacher was suspended for 3 months, but later returned to the school. The Peel District School Board says the teacher faced progressive discipline following a thorough investigation. The board affirms its commitment to the anti-Islamophobia strategy and has implemented additional members to support the students' well-being. The incident occurred the same month the school board implemented its Islamophobia strategy, becoming the first school board in Canada to do so. A French Muslim woman who wears a headscarf is earning her livelihood by driving an Uber. The middle-aged woman is a Catholic convert to Islam. Abeline Belkaid accepted Islam in Morocco in 2005. She is the mother of 5. Belkaid says she chose to do this job because she can set her own hours. She says no one tells her whether or not to wear a headscarf. Belkaid says she has experienced Islamophobia since she has started covering her head. She says, though, 70% of her female customers are satisfied with traveling with her. She says female customers request the option to choose between female or male drivers in private transportation applications, and many women prefer to select their own driver. Thank you for watching. Sound Vision is a not-for-profit organization. It produces our news. We need your support for donations. Please scan the QR code on our broadcast or visit muslimnetwork.tv to donate now, so we can continue to amplify the voices of Muslims in Canada and abroad.